Hi, welcome back to Word for Today. It's Ronke again, and the word is taken from 1 Timothy 4:12. So let's dive in. So it says, "Let no one despise your youth, but be an example to the believers in word, in conduct, in love, in spirit, in faith and purity." I would basically encourage everybody to read the whole of Timothy. The first book, the second book of Timothy. It's very encouraging to young people that have been called into ministry. But in this particular verse, Paul is encouraging Timothy to be strong, not to look at older people, not to let older people make him feel incompetent, to be assured that he has the anointing, he has the giftings for what God has called him to do. So he's telling him that though older people might not respect you, might not want to listen to you, might not feel that you have the ability to do the job that God has called you to do not be intimidated by them. Do not worry about that, but let them respect you by the way you speak, the way you conduct yourself, the way you love God, the way you love them, and in living a pure and godly life. There are many people in the Bible that were young when God called them. And a perfect example is David. David was young, but David was looked down upon by Saul. Saul was like, "How can you face Goliath?" His brothers were like, "How can you face Goliath?" But David had faith in God. He remembered that he'd killed a bear, he'd killed a lion. And in 1 Samuel chapter 17, verses 37 to 40, he reminds himself of this faith. Even Goliath looked down on David. Even David's dad didn't believe in him. When Samuel came to anoint the next king, David's father brought all his older brothers first. And Samuel was like, "No, there's still another one." And nobody believed that God could call such a young person to be the king when there were other people that were older and seemed more qualified, because God does not look at the outside, but he looks at the heart. Other great examples are Daniel and Joseph. They did not allow anybody to look down on them for their age or take away the promises that God had for them in their lives, in their ministry. When Joseph had a dream and he saw the stars bowing down to him, his dad said, "Even me, am I meant to bow down to you?" But God indeed had a plan for Joseph, planned to lift him up and make him the head of even a nation that he was a foreigner in, but made him to be the right-hand man of Pharaoh. They did not allow people to make them feel unworthy or unable, and they did not allow situations to discourage them. So are you a young person that God has called to do something, and are people making you feel like you are not able to do it, like you're not qualified? And I just want to remind you today that God has qualified you. He has anointed you, he has appointed you, and he has given you the skills and the ability to do what he's asked you to do. So be strong in God, be strong in the faith, and hold on to your faith. Take advice that Paul has given us in 1 Timothy chapter 4 verse 12, not to let anybody despise you because of your youth, but hold on to the promises of God. We're just going to pray a quick prayer which says, "In a great house there's vessels of honor and vessels of dishonor." And we're just going to pray that God, in your house, in your vineyard, make us to be vessels of honor, fit and sanctified for your use. And we'll see you next time on Word for Today. Have a nice time.